Here he is on a Monday.
Hello, Jim.
And there's news, and there's positives, and there's negatives.
There's everything.
News out of Perth, I hear.
Yeah, a little bit of news
What
out
about
of
the
it.
tackle?
Yeah, we'll get to the we'll talk about that after we talk about some relevant stuff. Bill, actually, before we get to the relevant stuff, your escapades in Perth.
We heard them all.
No, we
Saturday.
did, but I've heard another one, and I want you to tell me if this is true. You were doing the rounds in the corporate boxes, and you bumped into one of my best mate, Adam Hamilton.
Yes.
And he was standing with another gentleman at the time.
Yeah.
And you were asking Adam for some quaddie tips, and the guy he was standing with said to you, "You better throw the one in the second leg."
Yeah.
And you looked at your form guide, as you always carry with you, and you noticed it was trained by a man called Simon Miller.
Yes.
And to your credit, and thankfully for you, you said, he's flying that Miller bloke.
Yeah.
You were talking to Simon Miller.
That was actually him.
Was that the trainer, Simon Miller? There.
Yep.
Really?
Yes.
Well, yeah,
I think the tip was
the winner. Because he said, "Oh, you better throw this in. If this wins, you."
Well, that was Simon Miller.
That was Simon Miller.
Because you could easily have said,
You could have said anything.
geez, he trains donkeys, that bloke. I don't want
He's a
anything to do
gun
with him."
trainer.
Oh, great.
And he meant to be a gun bloke, too.
Well, I was with Toby Bairstow, the trainer, too, the night before, and wow, he's not training anymore. I hope he's not riding them. Just flat. No, it was good. So,
How'd you go, Jim? You had a big
Oh,
weekend
yeah,
away
very
too
nice.
in SA.
Wine.
Yeah.
Very nice time.
I
in
hear some
Adelaide I had.
videos flying around of
Yes,
see that.
well, with
Where'd you go
Bluey
to?
knocking the top of the champagne bottle off.
Oh, I
with
did one of those. Did you?
Sabre.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was very nice.
You
And I
come
said
back to Adelaide and go out?
Did I?
Yeah, last night.
I went to the old line because Bluey's daughter, Taylor, whose beautiful girl, works there, had one glass of wine with her
Nowhere
and
else?
Lise,
Nowhere else?
and then
What do you
walked
suggest,
home
Bill?
past the front of a strip joint. So Lisa said, "Stand there and we'll send idiot a photo of you in front of a strip joint," which is exactly what we did.
Look at Jimmy there.
No, I had a
Well
very
done,
good.
well
I'll tell you who we
played.
ran into. I was saying to Bill was David Kosh.
David
At
Kosh.
the winery we were at, he came wondering. Geez, he was a happy man too, Kosh.
He would have been.
because they had to win, keep their season
We'll
alive.
get to the power under the positives of this.
Yep.
Bit of news. We'll just get some injury news before we get to the Goey story. Tim English has had a delayed concussion from the heavy match he played against GWS. He was tackled, a couple of times and look, got through the game. And only after the game have the Bulldogs said that there were delayed concussions. Bill, he's going to miss a week, so big loss for him.
They got
given he
some
played
injuries.
Yeah, they did. Cody Waitman's been cleared of bone damage from that
That's good.
dislocated elbow,
Yep.
but there is ligament damage. They're hopeful he might be right to go this week, but at this stage they just don't know.
I remember Boomer did that in one of the years I was at North, and it was 8 to 10. He got it down to about
Same
7
thing,
because he
yeah.
trained the house down. But that's a serious. That can be a serious injury.
On a
I love the
mark.
way he went
Yeah.
back on and,
Yeah.
and,
Oh,
and,
no,
and
he's
within the
tough kid.
first play of being back on, used his left arm
Yep.
to tackle. In a
And we were having a go at him a few weeks ago, weren't we? So good on you.
Yes, good on him.
Cody?
And Taylor Duray, who escaped the ACL, but the medial cruciate ligament, which wobbled when he landed awkwardly, that's going to keep him out for about 8 weeks, Jim. So, a couple of more injuries there for the Bulldogs. Look, as we speak, and we're speaking, was it about 4:20 on Monday afternoon, the AFL and Collingwood are yet to have clarity publicly on what happens with Jordan De Goey after his holiday and the video that came in the holiday in Bali. There's still a fair bit to play out. With this, he wasn't at training today. He did fly in. He has returned from Bali, but he was not at training today, and I haven't been able to get clarity. I don't think anyone has at this stage from anyone who claims to know why he's not there, whether it's his call or whether it's the club call. I'm sure by the close of play today we'll have an answer on that and potentially on what will happen. But obviously, there's a consent issue, which a woman in question in the video has said she had no problems with, and that is part of what will happen, Bill, when it comes to sanctioning. But it's only part of it, and it doesn't mean that he's not going to be sanctioned the way I read this. But I do,
From
having
who,
said
though?
all that, from the club. It'll be a club
but
issue.
not an AFL sanction.
Well, the AFL will look at what the club does, and
Right, okay.
and 9 times out of 10 it goes down the path where they have a full line of sight before it's public as to what it's going to be, and if they're in approval of the outcome, that will be.
Because there will be people listening saying, well, how can the AFL sanction him?
Yeah, well,
He hasn't broken the law.
No, and that's the issue. And I still, as questionable as the behaviour was, and all the questions that relate to why would he go to Bali and why would he get himself in trouble again, I still feel the sanctioning won't be of a match lost nature.
No.
I still think he'll be playing on the weekend.
Damo, what's worse? 2 blokes fighting in public?
Yep.
Or an AFL player being photographed with a bag of whatever else?
Well, those
white
two
powder?
issues are very serious matters.
But they didn't get fined or suspended, really.
Well,
They didn't get suspended.
The bag of substance you referred to did get suspended.
Sorry,
weeks.
2. So
Yeah,
that's 2 weeks.
That's 2 weeks, yeah.
But the two blokes fighting didn't.
No, but the club again disciplined actually the person who copped the punch, Stephen May, for 1 week. So
yeah,
he
because he was drinking when he...
Yeah.
Not for actually fighting in public.
Mm.
So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what
it
happens.
will be,
out of this.
but again,
It
a lot
comes
of it
back
does.
to Collingwood.
Well, it comes back to Collingwood, and also comes back to the weight given to the consent element of the hand on the girl. And as we said, a girl in the video has said that she did not have an issue with it, and it has to be part of the decision making around it. But it is only part of the decision making around it, and I do expect there to be a sanction of sort. But
what
look,
did you think of his? What did he put out? What was it? A Twitter
statement.
Statement.
Look, there were valid points in it, and I don't want to dismiss what he said about mental health and media intrusion, but I thought the timing of him putting it out in the 24 hours after he's been exposed again for behaviour that he didn't need to be part of was the right time around to that, Bill. But I don't want to dismiss the words in it, because I think we do as an industry need to take on board some of what he and others have been saying. But no one followed him. As far as I know, the cameras in Bali weren't were on the plane.
Media cameras.
They were just following a man behaving questionably yet again overseas in a period of time in which he shouldn't be. So
Mark Robinson in the tackle today, the Herald Sun.
We'll get to that next.
We'll get to that, Bill. We're just trying to get to the relevant stuff first.
Dislikes number 6.
More Damian Barrett next on the Rush Hour. Triple M. Gold Coast Suns. Noah Anderson joining us after 5, but Damian Barrett's in the studio chatting positives from round 14.
And there were plenty of them.
Yeah, and we'll stick with that football club, actually, as the start to the positives with what they did by way of winning their 7th game for the season, Jim, against Adelaide. And just before we get to the positive aspect of it, it has just come through in the last moments that Will Powell has officially fractured and dislocated that ankle, and there is ligament damage to boot. And anyone who was aware of what happened to him yesterday was just watching in disbelief. And then, if you're like me, you couldn't actually watch it properly, if that makes sense. And I'm glad that the host broadcaster chose not to
Great
replay any
shame,
form,
by the way, because he's a quality young player.
He is, Will.
But there's a steeliness to this club that hasn't been apparent often in its time in the AFL. Ben Ainsworth, I thought, was really good, Jim. He kicked 3 goals. He's one of 4 players to kick 3 goals. But I just love the way he's taken a little bit of time to sort of make everyone aware of the talents he's got, Bill. He was a very high draft pick in 2016.
Even Rankin, he kicked 3, but he gave off a few.
That's
didn't
the
he?
other thing, isn't he? And he wants to give them off.
Exactly. He's a team player. Stuart Dew, do they sign him up?
Look, my view on this, Bill, is that there's no rush on it. I see him being there next year, but I don't see the need to re-sign him now. I still think keep that little bit of pressure on him. Not that it's going to make too much of a difference, I don't think, Jim, because he's got them to 7-6. This is the best position they've had since that 2014 season when Ablett was rolling, absolutely rolling,
Flying.
and then he went down about this time, and obviously they then went down as well, didn't make the finals, but that was the closest they got, and were tracking to do so. They're still out of the 8 as we speak. I mean, they're a game and a bit of percentage out as we speak. But the covering of Ben King, who went down in the preseason, by using Chol and Casbolt, the most unlikely forward combination of all time, I think, when it comes to having major effect. And then, as you said, Bill, the maturity of Rankin and the coaching of Dew and the consistency of Miller and, you know, clearly the guy you're going to speak to had a massive say to in what happened. So really like what they're doing.
They've got Port Adelaide in Adelaide, which is always a tough road trip. Then they've got Collingwood and Richmond at home, and then Essendon at Marvel. So
well,
that's
next
a
3
big month.
are tough, aren't they? And then Essendon too, if they backed up the form that they did finally produce.
But if they can start ticking them off, then they deserve to play
They
finals.
win at home. What about the Giants-Western Bulldogs game? 35 goals kicked and Toby, outstanding.
Yeah, Toby was good. We'll put both these clubs into the positives, even though GWS lost. And again, the 2 wins they've had under Mark McVeigh have been against North Melbourne and West Coast, and the 2 losses, Bulldogs and Brisbane. So ultimately, they're still tracking the way they were under Leon Cameron. They're playing a lot more differently and more pleasingly.
Oh, they are.
Aren't they?
They're good to watch.
They're good to watch. And they were good against the Bulldogs, but the Bulldogs ultimately were better. And on the back of Norton and Waitman kicking the 5, I mean, Toby Green, I felt was, and I think most other people did who officially voted on the game, was best of field, Bill, with the 7 goals. Look, there's stuff to work with there, but from a Giants perspective. But the Bulldogs, again, they're a game outside the 8 as we speak, but history says to me they'll just grind and get in. And Josh Bruce coming back through the VFL is a major positive. Todd Marshall, Bill, 4 goals on the weekend against the Swans, 27 for the year. We've talked about him a few times in this Monday afternoon segment on your Rush Hour program. It's been the breakout year that had been a long time coming.
Oh, exactly. And been a good player in patches, hasn't he?
Yep.
But this more consistent, of course, the boy from Denny, he's lost
He moves well.
Lost both of his parents,
Yeah, he
at the
did.
age of 20. And good on him. That would have taken you 2 or 3 or 4 years. Who
You
knows
never
how
get over
long?
it, do
That's
you?
right.
I mean,
to get him. But, mate, what a star he's been. And he's such a good mark, but he moves beautifully.
Beautiful mover.
He
He's
played
got
in
good
that.
wheels.
He played in that drawn final that Luke Shuey kicked the goal of to win in extra time. So he's been around for that long, but it's taken him until 2022 to put all together. And it's no coincidence that he had the breakout element to his game without Charlie Dixon being there for that period when he did break out.
Oh, Pete Laddams. They just had to get the boy off. No, Bill.
250s, was it?
Had to get the boy off. Like, not a very crucial part of the game either. He's just handed him 2 goals with the most brain-dead behaviour you could ever carry on with.
Yeah, against the team that decided to offload him in contract.
That's it.
So that went well for them, didn't it? Essendon, like what they did against St Kilda, but you just had to ask the question, why wait until round 14 to do it? And I'm sure there's a lot of people attached to that footy club asking it. Having said that, if they can just hold it together in the back half, just to finish with a nice little surge, it won't be a lost season, which it appeared to be before that particular game. Mason Redmond's a player, Jim. I know you got a lot of time for him and you call him regularly, but I thought he was really crucial. And I know we spoke with Sam Draper on this show on this studio on Saturday, and he was really good too. And Peter Wright, who had gone 3 matches without a goal, managed to get back on the list.
Yeah, they've brought him in. He's playing good football.
He did.
Yes, and clean.
And you go back to Friday night with Richmond, just continuing to I think, be a very dangerous. They are going beautifully. And I'm looking really forward. Of all those games you're very, very excited about, Bill, on the weekend upcoming, the Richmond-Geelong one is the one I'm going to be most keen on seeing
Look
unfold.
at this, Jim. Thursday night, 1v2, Brisbane-Melbourne. Then Carlton take on Freo, 3 versus 5. Geelong-Richmond, 4 versus 6. Sydney-St Kilda, 7th versus 8th. First time for a long, long time the top 8 teams play each other. Then throw in West Coast and Essendon over at West Coast. They're a chance. Throw in North Melbourne, Adelaide, again for the bottom ladder. And then Port Adelaide, Gold Coast.
Yep.
Wow, you told us a week ago.
Yeah, you ignored me and you thought I
did.
was silly looking that far ahead.
I did.
But-
Well, I thought your ethics weren't right.
Purple.
Can we talk about that?
We've got 3 teams on 32 points, bottom of the 8.
Yep.
Then you've got Collingwood just outside the 8 on 32. Western Bulldogs 28 and Gold Coast on 28.
So I'm going down to
Port even,
Adelaide.
maybe?
Yeah, I'm going down to Port. Yeah.
But I mean, how good? We haven't had this for a while,
No.
not in my memory anyway. So many teams with a shot at a finals berth this late in the season.
And genuine question marks about the teams at the very top of the ladder, given the form that Melbourne is in, having going into this game against the Lions on Thursday night with a 3-loss losing sequence.
Negatives?
Get to them.
We'll get to them, Bill, and we'll get to what you want to get to.
Number 6.
We'll get
Number
there.
6,
As soon as
Damian.
anything negative's being said or written about anyone, look at him. He's got a stiffy
I
you
get
can
one.
see from
Damo
bloody...
It's good to see him in trouble.
Addresses the Herald Sun article next. It's the Rush
not in
Hour.
trouble.
Triple M. It's Triple M's Rush Hour. Damian Barrett is still in the studio.
And we need to get to the bottom of a few things, including his lack of punctuality on Saturday.
Exactly.
And
we
Bernie
still
Vince
get-
as well.
You know what,
just
I
not
had-
able to turn up on time.
Just
Duck
on that,
in
I had 3 different people
Yeah,
say to me,
good.
why was I late?
I'm
And
glad
I wasn't
they
late.
did say that.
Yeah.
I'm glad they did say that to you.
We have to just
Bloody,
roll
you
around
need
you
to-
and your travel
You need
arrangements.
to get your bloody act together a bit
Ethics.
better. I
I've
think.
never
ethics.
once been late.
Their ethics.
Mark Robinson in the
That's a
Herald
thing.
Sun today, number 6 on the dislikes. Ethics are still the boss. Damian Barrett, who was one of 3 football journos to appear in a betting ad. We all know that. We had a bit of fun with that. Should immediately resign as president of the Australian Football Media Association. Yes or no, Damian?
On what grounds, Bill?
Ethics. You get paid to do an ad. And apparently you've had a crack at other journos.
Have I?
Yes. And you've made a serious error.
When?
Oh, that was Sam McClure, but you're the same boat. So are you going to resign or not as the Australian Football Media Association
I'm just
president?
really glad that I can help Mark Robinson through this clear lull in what he's trying to do with his work
Yes
at the moment,
or
Bill.
no?
And I'm just happy that I can drive some audience to his column that his own opinions can't, Bill.
Righto.
Yep.
What's the bet? He either says sorry or stands down this week.
Well, you're posing the question, are you?
No, that's Mark's.
Right.
Not
Did
mine.
you really want to know the answer to that?
Oh, I'd love to know because you're in trouble. I love it when you're in trouble.
I'm not in trouble.
Yes, you are. You've been naughty, naughty boy.
What have I been naughty about, Bill?
We're doing the ad, taking the money.
Every media outlet takes money from gambling agencies
see
apart
me
from the
do it?
ABC.
Oh, yeah. Well, Sam got in trouble from his mob.
Yep.
So,
Yep. But I haven't got in trouble from
so
mine.
you're okay with it.
No, I've done nothing.
So you're not going to resign.
No.
And you're not going to stand down. You're not going to say sorry.
Let me understand this. They're asking you to stand down from the Australian Football Media Association
Your
presidency.
favourite organisation.
Yeah.
Surely you should ring whoever runs that and say, please sack me immediately. And then the next thing you say is, please make sure I never have to attend another function to do with this thing again as long as I'm alive.
Respect, please.
No, exactly. Some good people there, Jim.
I was asked to head it, Jim, a while ago, and I did because I think it's a worthy cause. If some people do think, Bill, I should move on.
Well, Barrett clearly isn't one for admitting mistakes. You're like him.
I haven't
You
made a
two-
mistake.
Oh, you two never
Look,
say
look.
sorry and I was wrong.
Once upon a time, the person who wrote that might have been considered for a role in an ad of that nature, Jim. If he
Purple.
wants.
If doing that ad, and by the way, it's satire.
Correct.
That seems to have been
It's a
lost on a
it's a
few people.
parody.
It's actually
It's
a piss
complete
take,
parody.
and I liked it.
No,
But
it
this is
was
what I
good.
would say. I would say if doing that ad gets me banned from this association, I'm signing a lifetime deal. I'm getting out of sports betting. I'm saying every single ad you do
I'll tell
from
you what,
now until I'm dead,
if
I
I-
agree to say yes to.
If I don't have to resign, Jim, I'm going to invite you this year as a special guest to the night.
And take Sam. Take
Yes.
Sam along. You and Sam go along.
Last time Sam was there, he dropped the F-bomb and the people were dropping it on him.
Not going to
Look,
admit you're wrong.
It's just hard
Sorry?
living. It's hard living rent free in that guy's head, Bill. At the moment.
Now, what else is negative, please, in the world of AFL? Let's talk about things that actually matter.
Yeah,
in,
exactly.
in things in the AFL.
St Kilda didn't do itself any favours, did it, with what it dished up against Essendon in that
Flat.
game?
The
just
fans
really
aren't
flat.
happy.
And
The fans aren't happy.
aren't they? Yeah, well, I can understand why, Bill, because they've left themselves in a very, very dicey situation now. When you refer to that logjam of teams in and around the 8, and they're now dicily placed. So it was a really bad loss. You sometimes look back on a year and you think that was the game that had to go our way, and it didn't, and they weren't up to it.
Flat, Damo, that's what I noticed. That they weren't switched on. And how you cannot be switched on when a spot in the 8 and a final series beckons, I don't understand.
Yeah, and that is a concern of itself, isn't it?
Well, Brett Ratton, I mean, you covered it on Saturday. His words in the post-match press conference were as strong as I've heard him ever speak about a team he's coached.
No, actually, I would agree with that. He was, and he doesn't muck around, Brett, does he? But again, ultimately, you get to this round, or 13 completed rounds, and they've had a good year, but they've done a lot of damage in that particular game. It's up to them now to work their way through. Sydney's the other worry, Bill.
They play Sydney this week. So
they do.
Big game, isn't it?
And they were, I think, ordinary too against Port Adelaide, as we touched on a few moments ago. They've got to have to sort that forward line out. I mean, I don't subscribe, as some do, to Buddy Franklin being a part of their problem up forward. I think you just play him and work around him, but you can't have Franklin, Reid and McDonald. I'd be going with Franklin and McDonald. And then hard as that is for Reid, given he was match winning only 2 matches ago, that's the way I'd be looking at that.
Where would they have been without Heaney, by the way?
No,
he was
what
great.
about a ruckman?
Legitimate start.
They need a new ruckman?
Well, either that or find Pete's head and put it back on his shoulders. I've never seen anything like it. They had to get the boy off.
It was really old school stuff, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
Just lost his mind.
The Crows, they're into their 3rd season with Matty Nix. Now, they had 3 wins in that abbreviated season of 2020. They had 7 wins last year. They got 4 now. They're probably tracking for about a 7 again, Bill. But there's no sign of genuine improvement that I've seen. Now, I know it takes a rebuilding team at least every bit of the time that Matthew Nix has had. And I'm not saying he's got to go, because I believe he should get another couple of years without question. But you want to see some improvement that we haven't yet seen to this point.
What's wrong with those big forwards? They can't get them going. Phil Thorpe and then the other boy, 32, Fogarty, and those. They just can't get them.
There's signs there, aren't there, from both of them, obviously, but just putting it all together.
Mind you, Bill, playing as a key forward in a bad team, a young key forward learning the trade is bloody hard work. If the ball's not coming in properly, they're getting folded back on all the time. I didn't see the game, but I always cut big forwards in the bottom end of the ladder a bit of slack.
Yep.
Because it's got to be hard.
But in Foggy's case, he's had a time in the system there, Jim.
Long enough,
so than
you think?
Phil Thorpe. Yeah, not long enough, but significant enough time for him
Been
to.
around for a while.
All right,
Yeah,
Buster's
maybe
going
better.
anywhere?
Oh, to your house.
So we might set it down to Robbo's joint.
Sending a Buster there.
Well, he needs some help, Jim. He needs some help. He needs some help. He's drawing on my quick ability to get himself some clicks.
What
So,
the hell?
So, you're sorry or not?
well, I don't know what I have to be sorry for, Bill. I'll apologise when I need to, but not on this
You're
occasion.
going to resign?
No.
There you have it.
Look
Next.
at that. Look at him.
Naughty.
Look at the
I
stupid
like
head.
when
Cheeky.
Damo's in trouble. I do like
I'm
that.
not in
Because he's
trouble.
such a nice boy and never gets in trouble.
Oh,
but he's naughty.
Bloke who can't fire a shot. Have a crack at it.
Damo's recovery session.